I came home early with takeout and a stupid grin, ready to surprise the woman I thought still gave a damn. The plastic bag swung from my fingers, filled with her favorite, spicy curry from that Thai place she'd been obsessing over. 3 years of marriage and I still tried. God, what a chump. The apartment was quiet when I walked in, but not empty quiet. It had that tense silence that makes the hair on your neck stand up. You know the one, like the air itself is holding its breath. I heard it then, rhythmic sounds from the living room, muffled voices. My brain didn't want to connect the dots, but my gut already knew. I moved through our narrow hallway, past the framed wedding photos that now felt like artifacts from someone else's life. The sound grew clearer with each step, sharp cracks followed by gasps. My mind flashed through a dozen innocent explanations. Maybe she was watching one of those reality shows she pretended to hate but secretly binged. Maybe she was exercising to some weird new fitness program. But I'm not stupid. Just hopeful. And hope dies quick when you turn the corner to find your wife bent over your couch, completely naked, while some half-naked clown in a black leather mask whipped her ass like he was taming a damn circus animal. My mouth went dry. The takeout bag slipped from my fingers, hitting the hardwood with a dull thud that was lost under their activities. The curry containers split open, spreading across the floor like my dignity. He didn't see me at first. Too busy with his performance. I stepped in, slow. Real slow. Like moving through concrete that's starting to set. The mask covered most of his face, but I could see his eyes, pupils dilated with excitement as he raised the whip again. She was facing away, oblivious, making sounds I'd never heard her make for me. He turned mid-swing, eyes widening through those dumb holes in his mask when he registered my presence. That's when I grabbed the whip. Snatched it right out of his hand mid-air. The leather bit into my palm, but I barely felt it. What the, he started, voice muffled behind that ridiculous mask. I swear to God, I nearly ended him with his own toy. My arm pulled back, every muscle in my body screaming to lash out. But something cold and rational took over. This wasn't just about him. This was about her, this stranger wearing my wife's skin. The coward must have seen something in my face that scared him worse than any threat I could have made. He dove out our first floor window like it was a fire drill. Glass crashed, curtains ripped, and he was gone, left his pants, his phone, even his wallet. Just vanished into the afternoon like a magic trick, leaving only the broken window and his belongings as proof he'd ever existed. I stood there, heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my teeth, looking at my wife, who was now trying to cover herself like it wasn't 5 seconds too late. Her makeup was smeared, hair a mess, eyes wide with fear and something else. Excitement? Embarrassment? I couldn't tell anymore. Couldn't read this woman I thought I knew inside and out. I didn't speak. Just pointed. Out. That's it. One syllable. Any more and I might have started screaming or crying. Neither option seemed acceptable. Baby, I can explain, she stammered, fumbling for a throw blanket. It's not what you think. Not what I think. My voice came out so calm it surprised even me. I think I just caught you cheating on me with some freak in a mask. Please, enlighten me on what it actually is. It's just roleplay, she said, voice cracking. Just curiosity. You've been so distant lately. Don't. I cut her off. Don't you dare try to flip this on me. She started crying then. Big, dramatic tears that once upon a time would have melted me. Now they just looked like another performance. I walked to our bedroom and pulled out her suitcase from under the bed. The one she'd used for our honeymoon in Bali. Threw it on the bed and started emptying her drawers into it. Didn't fold anything. Just dumped it all in while she followed me, blanket clutched around her, begging and pleading and blaming it on curiosity and feeling neglected, and a dozen other excuses that all translated to the same thing: she'd gotten bored and decided vows didn't matter. 3 years, I said as I zipped the case shut. 3 years, and you couldn't even bother to cheat somewhere else? Had to do it on our couch. The one we picked out together. Please, she sobbed. It was just this once. I made a mistake. People make mistakes. A mistake is forgetting to pay the electric bill, I said, hauling the suitcase off the bed. A mistake is burning dinner. What you did? That took planning. Coordination. Intention. I grabbed her phone from the nightstand and tossed it to her. Call someone. Not him, obviously. He's halfway to the state line by now. I dumped her bags on the porch while she made frantic calls, still wrapped in that blanket like it was armor. Turned out none of her friends were eager to take in someone who'd just been caught in the act. Funny how that works. When I came back in, she tried to follow. I blocked the doorway. James, please, she whispered, using my name like an incantation that might bring back the man who had walked in with takeout and a stupid grin. We can work through this. People recover from these things all the time. I looked at her, really looked at her. Remembered how we'd met at my cousin's wedding. How she'd laughed at my terrible dancing. How I'd proposed 6 months later because I was so certain I'd never find anyone better. Some people might, I said finally. I'm not one of them. I slammed the door. Locked it. Leaned against it as her fists pounded from the other side, her voice rising into that hysterical register that women use when they realize consequences have finally caught up with them. But tossing her out wasn't enough. I needed her to feel what I felt, humiliated. Like my entire life had been a joke that everyone was laughing at but me. I walked back to the living room, stepping over the spilled curry, and picked up the man's phone. Nice model. Latest iPhone. Password protected, of course, but the notifications were visible on the lock screen. Including several worried texts from someone saved as future Mrs. Oh yeah. Turns out Mask Boy had a whole other life, sweet church girl from out of town, planning their wedding. His mask wasn't just for kink, it was to hide who he was. And he'd been sloppy enough to leave his digital life in my hands. I sat on the couch, carefully avoiding the spot where they'd been, and got to work. The phone was locked, but the laptop he'd left behind wasn't. And he'd been logged into all his accounts. Cloud storage, email, social media. The digital diary of a man who thought he was too clever to get caught. I found everything. Videos. Photos. Text messages planning their little afternoon delight. Even a sound clip where my wife moaned his name, Ryan, apparently, while calling me a boring loser who wouldn't know how to satisfy a woman if she came with an instruction manual. That one stung. Burned like acid in my chest. But pain is a powerful motivator. I sent it all to his fiancée. Every dirty detail. Every planning message. Every insulting comment about me, about her, about how they were both so much better than their boring partners. I included a note, thought you should know who you're marrying. He's been sleeping with my wife in my home while I'm at work. Wedding's off. Sorry. Cold. Maybe. But so was stepping through my door to find the woman I loved being whipped by a stranger. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I found his social media. Found where he worked. Turns out Ryan was a manager at a summer camp for kids. Trusted with children. A man of character, according to his LinkedIn profile. I uploaded their little BDSM session to a private blog I knew his boss followed, under the title, Meet the Manager of Your Kid's Summer Camp. Not the explicit stuff. Just enough. His face was mostly visible despite the mask. His voice clear as day. He got fired before lunch the next day. Funny how fast "it's complicated" turns into "you're terminated" when reputation is on the line. As for my wife, ex-wife now, I suppose, she lost the respect of every friend we had. I didn't even have to tell them much. Just the truth, she cheated, in our home, and tried to blame me for it. People pick sides quickly in a divorce. Nobody picked hers. And me? I slept like a damn baby for the first time in weeks. Because when you get whipped in your own house, you don't cry. You swing back. The next morning, I woke up to 63 missed calls. 27 from her. 15 from Ryan. The rest from friends, family, even her parents. I ignored them all and made coffee in the kitchen we'd remodeled together last summer. The coffee tasted bitter. Everything did now. My phone buzzed again. Text from an unknown number, "You've ruined my life." Had to be Ryan. I blocked it without replying. I'd taken the day off work. Couldn't face the pitying looks, the awkward conversations, the inevitable questions. Instead, I cleaned. Scrubbed the apartment from top to bottom like I could erase any trace of what had happened. Threw out the couch. Couldn't bear to look at it. Ordered a new one online, different style, different color, different everything. The doorbell rang around noon. I ignored it. It rang again, more insistent this time. Then came the pounding. "I know you're in there." Her voice, hoarse from crying. "You can't do this to us. What you did was illegal." I walked to the door but didn't open it. "What I did was show people who you really are. Now go away before I call the cops and tell them you're trespassing. I'll sue you." She was screaming now. For defamation. For invasion of privacy. I laughed. Actually laughed. "With what money? Your boyfriend's? Oh wait, he's unemployed now. And his fiancée has probably cancelled the wedding venue. Such a shame. You're a monster," she hissed through the door. "No," I replied calmly. "I'm just someone who believes in consequences. You play adult games, you win adult prizes." She left eventually. Had to. The neighbors were starting to peek out their doors, and if there's one thing people like her hate, it's being the spectacle instead of the spectator. I spent the rest of the day changing locks, changing passwords, changing everything. Called a lawyer. Started divorce proceedings. Fast-tracked as much as possible. I wanted her excised from my life like a tumor. The phone calls slowed down after a few days. People got bored. Found new drama to focus on. That's the thing about humiliation, it's only entertaining for so long before the audience wants fresh blood. Ryan tried approaching me once, outside my office. He'd grown a beard, probably to hide his face. Didn't help much. "You didn't have to destroy my life," he said, voice low and angry. "This was between you, me, and her." "No," I corrected him. "It was between me and my wife until you decided to insert yourself." Literally. "I've lost everything," he continued, like I should care. "My job, my fiancé, my reputation. And I lost my marriage, my trust, and my self-respect," I countered. "At least you deserved what you got." He looked like he might try to hit me. I almost hoped he would. Assault charges would have been the cherry on top of his misery sundae. But he just shook his head and walked away, shoulders slumped under the weight of consequences he'd never expected to face. My lawyer called that afternoon. Said my wife was contesting the divorce, claiming emotional distress. I laughed again. Told him to use the evidence. All of it. See how her claims of distress held up when the judge saw what had caused it. She backed down 3 days later. Agreed to my terms. No alimony. Clean break. Her lawyer probably explained that courts don't look kindly on spouses caught in flagrante delicto. 6 months later, the divorce was final. I sold the apartment, took a job in another city, started over. Sometimes it feels like I'm living someone else's life, like the real me died the moment I walked through that door with takeout and a stupid grin. But I'm still here. Still breathing. Still moving forward one day at a time. I ran into her sister at an airport once. Pure coincidence. She looked uncomfortable, shifted her weight from foot to foot, wouldn't meet my eyes. How is she? I asked, more out of reflex than actual interest. Not good, her sister admitted. She's struggling. Lost her job. Had to move back home. I nodded, felt nothing. No satisfaction. No pity. Just emptiness where feelings used to be. And Ryan? I couldn't help asking. Last I heard, he left the state. Working construction somewhere out west. Under a different name. We stood in awkward silence for a moment, surrounded by the chaos of travelers rushing to their gates. She really did love you, you know, her sister finally said. Before everything. I shrugged. Love without loyalty is just convenient affection. I walked away then, toward my gate, toward my new life, toward a future where I trust no one completely and sleep with one eye open. It's not ideal, but it's honest. And after everything, honesty feels like the only currency worth trading in. Because when someone shows you who they really are, a cheater, a liar, a betrayer, you'd better believe them the first time. Otherwise, you're just setting yourself up for the next whipping. And next time, you might not be able to grab the whip.